Okay, today I want to talk about the year that I graduated from high school, and it was my first year to go to BYU. Um, it was an exciting time, and I was working hard at the it was a place where we washed cars, a car wash place, and what I would do is I remember giving my check to Mama Marine to put in the bank for me, and she would give me $10 a week, and that's what I had to spend money on, to buy stuff with and stuff. But when I was working at this car wash, there was one guy, I cannot remember his name, but we became pretty good friends. He rode motorcycles, and I had my little Honda 350, and I'd ride it up to work, and we'd talk about motorcycles. And he was a member of this motorcycle club gang, like the Banditos, and just a real nice guy. And I mean, he was rough looking. He had a big beard and big, big old, a lot of muscles and stuff. And so, but we became very good friends. And he asked me. I told him one day we were talking about future, what we were going to do, and I had explained to him that I was leaving to go on a mission. I had just received my mission call to go to Mexico, and he thought that that was the strangest thing. He wanted to know what that meant, and he wanted to know a little bit about the church. So we talked, and I explained to him what missions were and what they were all about, and so he had questions about the church, and I would answer all of his questions. We would during the lunchtime we would go and sit down on a place inside there where we're building these motorhomes or trailers, and we'd sit down there and talk about. I'd answer his questions. He would ask me more questions. But the funny thing is, all this time that I was doing this, there were these two ladies that were listening. They were staying close and they were listening, but they never came by and sat down. They just were out listening. These two ladies, they had the worst potty mouths I've ever heard. They would curse like sailors. I mean, they were just unbelievable, and just meaner than hell. I mean, just and so the funny thing is, just quick short story is, they were kind of in the background listening, and when I got home off my mission and go into our chapel I was only home for a Sunday before I headed to BYU. But guess who in the world was in the audience? Those two ladies that talked, that just cursed like sailors, and they had listened to what I had talked about, and they had gone to the church and had the missionaries come out, and they both were baptized, and they became good members of the church. I don't know what happened to them, because I was, I just kind of lost touch with them after I went home. I went to BYU, and I was there for several years, so I lost contact, and have always wondered if they stayed active in the church. But anyhow, moving back to going to BYU. Yes, ma'am.
Wasn't this at the place where you put together trailers?
Yeah,
Not the car wash.
We built. It wasn't a car wash. It was. We built trailer homes. And my job of building the trailer home was that I'd put in the sinks. So that was a fun part. And this guy that I became friends with, he connected all the wires and stuff, or the water hoses, the pipes and stuff, and that's why we became good friends. So anyhow, I worked there the whole summer, had a great time. Decided, got accepted to BYU, and was getting ready to go to BYU. A friend of mine, Greg Barksdale, had a sister, Susie Barksdale, and she was living in Longview at the time. No, she was living in Utah, but for some reason they had a red Volkswagen Bug, and it had some kind of problems. I don't know if it's transmission or what, but they had this thing fixed, and they wanted me to drive it out to Utah when I was going out there to school. So I agreed to it, and there was a bunch of kids from Longview headed out to BYU. So I think Ellen Carlisle rode with me, and this Volkswagen did fine until we got about oh, I don't know, it was about 2 hours out of Provo, and then the thing just I don't know what was wrong with it, but it wouldn't go faster than 30 miles an hour. I mean, it was awful, and so I had to just slow down and just kind of, just everybody left me, and it was me and Elle and Carlisle just in this stupid car going 30 miles an hour, and it took us another 6 hours when it took everybody else probably 2 hours to get there. So anyhow, I arrived and delivered that stupid car to the owners, Susie Barksdale. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I mentioned that I went to Susie Barksdale's funeral last week. She was 4 years older than me,
70.
I believe, and she had had a stroke, but I think that she had had some cancer before that. I'm not real sure.
No, she had a stroke
Just a stroke
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and then she had an additional
another one.
stroke. Yeah, and then that took her life. So me and Karen went to her funeral the other day. But the good part was I got to see Greg Barksdale and some of the other sisters that were there, Janice and Laree. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for me to get to see those individuals. So headed back to BYU. Got there, got the car delivered, got it checked into my place, and it was a good year. Karen was in she was in my ward, our home ward, and she and I became very good friends, and we would talk a lot, and I'd run into her on campus and had some good experiences with that, and so I always felt special about her. I just kind of felt like she was somebody special, and I wanted to make sure that I got to know her better. But she was dating a lot of other guys, and I had no money, so I couldn't take anybody out. I had no car. I had no way of dating, and it was just embarrassing to be in that situation. So I hunkered down and started getting into my studies at school, and it was a lot of fun. Made a lot of good friends there, and so. We had a class together. It was the second semester that we were there. We had a class. I wasn't the best student. I just had not learned how to study in college. The thing that worked for me in high school did not work in college. But we got the second semester, the winter semester. Karen and I were in the same class. It was history. 170. It was America. It was American history, I believe, and of course I'm a big fan of history, and I loved it. And so we sat by each other, and Karen always had her corn chips and her corn nuts and her
red
licorice. She would try to share with me, and I was too embarrassed to get a piece of red licorice. But she kept trying, and anyhow, she was sweet, and she did not know that I just was in love with her. I fell in love with her. What happened was our dorm sisters. She lived right next to these girls that were in my family. I forget what they called that. The BYU family. And so one day I'm over there with Joy and the other girl that had no, it wasn't Pam. Pam was Laura, and so they said. So they showed me Karen's picture. I think it was her high school senior picture, and she showed me the picture, and I was like, "Wow!" I fell in love with that picture. I just stared at it for about an hour, and they thought I was weird. And so anyhow, I just kind of sealed that back in my mind somewhere, and I went home and worked that next summer. After that first year at BYU, and went home, got my mission call to Mexico, and it was just I was excited to go to Mexico, and so we went to I had to go to the Missionary Training Center, the language training mission there in Provo, and guess who I run into? Karen Johnson. She was going somewhere, and I saw her, and I yelled at her, and we talked, and and it was just a really good visit. We had a lot of fun. Karen wanted me to talk about when we were back at BYU having that class together. We decided that we would, after my mission, we'd go on a date. And she had a little calendar out, and so we got the calendar and circled the date when we'd have our date when I got home from my mission. The funny thing is, by the time that date came around, we were already engaged. we were having a good time. So went on the mission, got back, got into town. Was ready to go to BYU. I think I was home maybe a week before I had to head to BYU because I was released from a mission on August the 18th, and I think BYU started on August the 25th. So I was home for 3 days, and but I remember the day I got home. Mother had made me a cherry pie, my favorite pies, and she gave me this pie, and I sat down in this chair. And I'm eating this cherry pie with a big glass of milk all by myself. And I wouldn't share the pie with anybody. and so Deborah, my sister, was there, and her and Mother were there. And Deborah says, "So what's your plans?" And I said, "Well, I'm going back to BYU and I'm going to marry Karen Johnson." And they both got real quiet. And my sister Deborah says, "What? You're doing what?" And my mother was terrified. She was, she thought she had her Bubba home and she was going to be happy with having me around for a while. So I said, "No, I'm going to go marry Karen Johnson." And so I think that thought started with me. I didn't even think of Karen while I was on my mission after I got sent. But a month before I got home, a good friend of mine, Dave Bush, sent me a letter, and he said, "Guess who I saw the other day? Karen Johnson. She's in town." And I was just so excited. I thought, I got a chance. And so I get in my little car and I drive to BYU. I had a little Opel Manta. It was a piece of trash, but it got me to BYU. And so I got to BYU, and I drove up to where my good friend Dave Bush lived. It was, what was that called? Riviera Apartments. A real fancy place. And I was supposed to live there. Dave was supposed to get me a room there, but things got crazy and he wasn't able to do that. So he got me and his very good friend who was on a mission with him, a place in, what was it called? Alta Apartments, which are still there, by the way. And so me and Dick Garrison became very good friends. And so, matter of fact, Dick was my best man at my wedding. That's how good of friends we became. I just love Dick. I haven't really seen Dick since BYU, but anyhow, so we, where was I?
I met you at Dave's house.
Yeah, okay, Dave's house. Yeah, at Dave's house we met, and I was so excited because she was single, she was available. So but for the next 3 weeks, she had started a new job teaching school in the 2nd grade up in, where was it at? It was
Granger.
Granger, a little bit north of Provo there. And so we were excited. I was excited to see her. And one day, 3 weeks after the semester started, I'm walking along. I'm going to the library. She's walking out of the library. We see each other because I had no clue where she was after I saw her at the airport or at Dave's house.
We didn't have cell phones at that time.
No, we didn't have cell phones. And I think we had a very good visit, and and we decided on this date that we were going to go on, and so where was I here?
You took me out.
We went out on our first date and
went out to eat.
And I remember there was this guy there that was, what was he? Had brain problems. and you helped him. You fed him. He couldn't use his arms, and so Karen fed him.
Had muscular dystrophy.
Muscular dystrophy or something, and so she had to feed him, and I just thought to myself, what a kind-hearted girl this is, you know, that she would do that. It didn't embarrass her at all. She just punched right in and did her thing. So, but we decided right after that, Karen decided. I said, I need to get this girl down here to Provo, and so I went and talked to the managers of the motel or the apartments where I was staying, and I said, I'll do whatever it takes. You got to get her here. And they said, oh, well, we just had a cancellation. So I got a hold of Karen and we got her moved down here, down to Provo. And we started dating, and it was just, it was magical. It was just, we had so much fun. Matter of fact, we had so much fun that she was teaching second grade, as I said. And I was so Twitter-pated with her. I could not go to class. And so I started skipping class all the time and started going and just to her classroom and sitting in her classroom and helping her with the kids. I'd show up and we just had a great time with the kids, and
kids would be hanging all over them.
They'd be hanging on me, and we it was just a great time. So we had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. So what else did I need to cover in this thing here, Mom? Do you know?
Well, we did get engaged.
Yeah.
Right around Christmas.
Christmas time we were engaged. Karen went home with me. Met my family. The family was living in this old rented house while we were building. Daddy Max was building his new house, and so, but I didn't care. It was just old ratty house, and I think you stayed in there with Kelly in her bedroom. It was just a crowded old place, and but anyhow, I remember we decided we were going to tell my parents, and we were getting married, and you remember what Daddy Max said? Daddy Max says, I said, well, we're going to get married, and he said, marriage is a great institution. I had no clue what the crap he meant, but I thought, okay. And he was more excited about me getting married than I was. I mean, he loved Karen. He loved her, and my mom was always like, she's losing her favorite child here, and she wasn't sure about that. But it didn't take them long before they became very close, because Karen was such a good help to my mom and working in the house and stuff when we would go down there to visit. So great times were had by all. What else did I want to cover this time? Anything else?
Well, we got married as soon as school was out.
Yeah, we got married as soon as school was out, and then so I think we'll probably that'll be enough. That'll be enough, and I'll pick up next time when we first got married. We were at BYU and Scott came into the world. Oh boy.